Hi, everybody. If you are ever interested in signing up for my content at patreon.com/RyanPBA, I just want to remind you to avoid signing up and paying through the Apple App Store through Apple Pay because they've instituted a new fee for new Patreon subscribers. If you're signing up beyond November 1st, 2024, it's really easy to avoid that fee by just signing up through your web browser and setting up payment through any other device other than an Apple device. If you're an existing subscriber, this change won't affect you at all, so don't worry about it. You can just keep enjoying all that new monthly on-demand content available at patreon.com/RyanPBA. You're listening to the Piercing Wizard podcast, and I'm your host, Ryan Willett. I'm a professional body piercer with 20 years experience. I travel around the world teaching technique and safety classes, and I'm a member of the Association of Professional Piercers. Listen in as I talk to my friends and colleagues about our industry so we can all stay sharp. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the show. In just a minute, I'm going to get into an interview with my good friend, Jesus Cabanas Salaveria. I think most of us in the industry will know him better as Sala. Sala's been my good friend for quite a while. He's been on the podcast before, all the way back on episode 18. So I was really excited to have him come back for episode 256. Because Sala has accepted his nomination to run for the board. The Association of Professional Piercers will be having their elections. If you're a member, you can vote right now. You can go to the website, you can log in. You should have received an email with your login credentials, so it's really important that you vote. You have up until December 18th, but I would really suggest that you don't wait until the last minute. So go online, you can read about the nominees, you can see who shares your values and who you think might best represent you on the board of the APP. So again, if you're a member, please vote, please participate. We need people to vote for this to be a valid election. So you can go and log in for that right now. But I just want to get into this interview with Sala. We talk about some of the different things that he does, all of his volunteerism, the different conferences he's involved in, and all the different work he's doing for our industry. So let's go ahead and get into this interview with Sala.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Being like an easy morning today.
Yeah.
Uh, Yeah, I went to the gym, had like a group class, then came home, had some food, and then I was doing some APPE invitations for the speakers, for the
Cool.
international speakers already.
Yeah.
So some association work. And you? You just wake up?
I've been awake for just like a little over an hour. Sundays are a weird day for me because it's like sort of a work day, but not really a
Mhm.
work day. Like it's like a work from home day for me, so I don't really have to stick to a tight schedule or anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but you open on Sundays, no? The shop.
No, no,
Okay,
since the pandemic, we've been closed on Sundays and Wednesdays, and like I'll go in for like days of like kids lobes, but we're not open
okay,
for the public.
okay. That's nice. That's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in the States it's very common to be open every day, no?
Yeah, well, so that's a weird thing that I've been talking about with Lola because she's coming over here soon and like the UK workday is 6 hours and it's maybe 4 or 5 days a week and like the American
No.
style is like 8 or 9 hours and then 5 days, maybe 6 days and it's like
Yeah.
I don't want that life for her, but I also don't want that life for me. Yeah.
Yeah, here, like for example, us is like that. We work 5 days a week, 5 to 6 hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have
I think
life
that's the
after
best
work.
balance. I've
Yeah,
been
we have
doing that
life after
with
work.
my staff for like a few years now, and they seem happier because they have time in their lives for like the rest of their lives, and it's not just
Exactly.
like work all the time.
Yeah. It's important also to have some free time to do other stuff, other hobbies. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Something that like I can include in the episode or not, depending on how you feel about it. But like one thing that I've been thinking about is if more American businesses kind of move to that non-American business model of like your job should support your life, you know? Um, I think it's important that shops readjust their pay models because like if you're based on you make the money you need to make, but you have to do 5, 8 hour days. Then if somebody switches to like 4, 6 hour days, I think you need to adjust their pay so that they can still make that healthy living,
Yes.
and not underpay people and not have people feel like they're always scrambling to try to find more time to work. Like I want my staff to be able to pay their bills with like a manageable amount of hours.
Yeah. Yeah, but the thing is, like, I guess it's something very cultural also. In the States, there's a lot of more consume, and you need to work a lot to enjoy more stuff that
Yeah.
you can pay and stuff like that. So I think European is more like, okay, you work this amount of hours. For example, in Norway, you cannot do a job 120% because the more you work here, the more taxes you pay.
Yeah.
So it's like in other countries, you can work as much as you want if you want to be working 24 hours because you want to save a lot of money and all that. That here is not possible.
Mm.
The more you work, the more taxes you will pay.
So
Yeah, I'm
okay, before
42.
before we
You're
get too far into the conversation, do a introduction first.
perfect. So yeah, my name is Jesus Cabanas, but everyone knows me as Sala. I've been piercing more than 2 decades, at least 2000. And nowadays I work at Pinpoint Piercing. I've been here almost 15 years. I've been here 14 years. It's a long time.
Yeah.
If you don't know Pinpoint, the listeners is one of the first studios in Europe, only piercing and scarification shop owned by Cristiane, and it's been open since '98. So I've been half of the time of Pinpoint there. So it's crazy when I start to think about it, like, wow. Uh, I'm international speaker. I've been teaching since 2007, and I'm being also international senior speaker for the APP. And I also am a co-founder of the APPE Spain. I found that organization with Gladys Pino and Jose Carlos, and it's been already 10 years.
Wow, really?
Yeah,
Cool.
time flies.
Yeah.
So it's been a very long journey, actually.
Do you
So
do you
yeah.
recall like did you and I meet at BMX or did we meet in Vegas? Do you recall?
So the thing is, my first APP is in 2007, but I was like no one. Let's say that I was there. I came. I didn't know anyone. I met a few friends that now is like they're big names in the industry. And but I think I remember when we met, you were the shyest person. You were really shy. And I remember the classes. You, I think it was a class. I was with Mariona traveling somewhere. Maybe it was BMX Net. And yeah, it was. And then I think the year after, you came to the Pinpoint to do a guest spot. So I think we met. I don't know if it was BMX Berlin, the first one that was in Berlin, or did you were you in Italy in the first APTP
No,
PT?
I've never been to the Italian conference.
Oh, okay. Because in that time, back in the days, I was traveling a lot with Mariona, Jose Carlos, and Gladys, and we'd been doing a lot of conference together. And yeah, it have to be or BMX Net back in the days. Yeah. Uh, Maybe in one of those certification workshops they ask you to do. Yeah. I think it was
I
Berlin,
remember
the first one in Berlin, I think.
I remember lots of little
I think
small
that's the
memories,
start.
but it's so difficult to remember what
Yeah,
year and even
yeah,
what country it was in sometimes. And I
yeah.
I
The thing
haven't
is that
done
we've been
many.
in many countries together, actually.
Yeah, we've
We've been
been
like
we've been
touring on the
around the
world,
world
kind of.
several times. Brazil and
Yeah,
Germany and Spain
yeah,
and US and Norway and
yeah. Very,
yeah.
we know we go long back.
Well, so uh I haven't done a lot of guest spots in my career,
Uh-huh.
but whenever guest spots come up in a conversation that I'm part of, I always like to talk about my time at Pinpoint because like it was a short visit. Well, both of the times were like
Yeah.
short stays, but like they were really impactful for me. And I learned so much from you, and I learned so much from Christiana, and just how the studio is run. And
Hmm.
I took a lot of those ideas and brought them home to my own studio. So I always look back at my guest spots at Pinpoint in a really fond way because it was a really big deal and a really big chapter in my career.
Yeah, I think for we've been lucky, like to manage to go with Christiane when she was more like into it, and see her work and the structure that she had, and all that. Did you ever came to the Suscom? No.
Well, so my first guest spot was to cover when they were doing the symposium. So
Okay.
like I saw something kind of adjacent to the SUSCon, but
Uh,
I haven't been
yeah.
to an actual SUSCon.
So it comes, I bring it back out is because if you were in the system, everything is very structured. You
Yeah,
know, you have your stations for each thing, and everything, everyone has like their job. So I think the structure of the shop has always been like that, like
yeah,
very like, okay, these things are like this is how you do it. And because we have like a lot of good guest artists like you and many others. So I've been also learning a lot from a lot of people, and that is also making me grow as a person and as an instructor or everything. And like you said, I think the impact the before Pinpoint and after Pinpoint in my life is been huge. It's been huge. I think Pinpoint and the piercing industry has changed a lot of lives, kind of, if
yeah,
we say like that, because we've been teaching things that we've been seeing there, or we've been kind of absorbing from guests and things like that. So it's kind of like a weird thing, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I wish that I could get her on the episode, like an episode, or in a class
Oof.
together. Like I would love to do some kind of like a scarification
Yeah.
project with her at BMX or something. But
Yeah.
I understand that she
It's
has a very
difficult.
healthy work and life balance at this
Yeah.
point, and I wouldn't want to
Yeah.
disrupt that.
Yeah. It's difficult. Even for me, I want her to pierce me, and she's like, yeah. After work. And then
Yeah,
never happens, It's like she needs her time to like
yeah.
to jump into it. So yeah, but
It's funny though because
yeah,
like, I saw her recently and she's been doing all of her ceramics and
yeah,
everything, and it's just funny how instantly serious she got with it. I'm sure that there's like a beautiful creative process to it, but it's
yeah,
also she markets it and promotes it and all that
yeah,
stuff with
yeah,
that business brain. I'd
yeah,
imagine it's difficult to
yeah.
switch that off.
Actually, the thing is that she's too talented. Whatever she
Mm.
jumps into it, she's good at it. Back in the day, she was doing the slams with like the X-rays, very good.
Yeah,
Scarification. I stopped doing scarification because I was next to her. Like, what the hell? It's like she's so fast. She's like a printer,
yeah,
And I was like, a piece that for me took me like 3 hours. She was doing it in half an hour. So I was like, whoa. And then piercing. I see piercing that she's been piercing for more than 30 years. And their clients are coming to the shop sometimes, and it's like, how did she did this? That now is trendy 30 years ago, So it's kind
yeah,
of like,
yeah.
yeah, it's crazy.
I think
But
it
that's
was
very crazy.
at a UK APP conference. They
Hmm.
did an event where it was like axe throwing,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
the three of us ended up in the lane together, and we tried it for like 5 minutes, and we weren't amazing at it instantly. So all three of us were just like, fuck this. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember it was like, yeah, it was like after the first day, no, the
Yeah.
classes. They took us to a tour around. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah. Nice, nice.
So it's election season, and Lola and I had a conversation. We recorded something. I don't know if that episode will come out before or after your episode, but we had a conversation about how when you go through these election cycles, a big part of it is people talking about whether they accept or decline their nominations. And
Mm.
sometimes when people decline, they say it's, well, I'm too busy. But also the
Yeah.
people that accept are also way too busy, but it's
Yeah.
it's just that mentality of how you can manage your time and how you can manage
Yeah.
projects. And there are few piercers that I know in the world that I would consider busier than you because it seems like you're always working or traveling or going to the gym or putting on a conference and doing all this
Yeah.
stuff. So, um,
Yeah, I'm pretty busy person, but I think time management, you know.
yeah,
Like you said, I this year, the last 2 years has been crazy with conference and teaching around the world. I think this year we were making numbers, and I think it was 22 or 24 conference all over the world.
yeah,
And I've been teaching in more than half of them. And yeah, like you said, the shop, working as a piercer, working as a PT. Of course, sometimes it takes part of your life. Right now, I have a lot of time free because I'm single, and normally, same. I'm taking that structure from the shop to my life. I wake up at the same time. I go to the gym. I have my clients at the same time. I go to work. I finish work. I have hours free for the association in Spain, and then I have time for me. So I think that time, as soon as you have a structure, you find that time. And sometimes I feel I can do something more. I still have free time, you know? And normally for the conference, we organize a conference in Spain. We've been there. And for the conference in Spain, we start 1 year before to organize the next year. So right now I'm immersed now organizing that conference. And of course, you know, man, I like to help a lot of people. I help also to organize now Japan. And then I also help to organize Poland. And then I also help Brazil. So I have these kind of tiny time frames there. They're like, let's see what's happening. And then, but I think it's time management, really. Like if you find your structure and all that, yes, I'm a busy person, and something that I like to do is when I finish the studio, I finish the studio. So I move on to my next time frame. It's gonna be association, so I just focus on that. And I try to stick to those time frames. So when I finish piercing, I finish piercing. I don't start to think that much. And I need a hobby, and I need to be immersed in my hobby and things like that. So I think time management is very, very important because when you do been doing this for so many years, piercing life is a roller coaster. We go up, we go down, we go turns, very steep downs, and if you don't have kind of like a structure or a balance, you burn out. So
yeah,
we all been there, and the more time you've been in the industry, you see many other people getting burnout or just dropping it or coming back stronger. So I had my moments like, oh, I don't want to pierce anymore, and I was focusing more on teaching, doing some researches. Then everything when you travel comes back and you get the sparkle again. And so I think even if I have a structure, each part of the structure kind of like give a little bit more energy to the other part.
yeah.
So it's kind of like a symbiosis there. Yeah.
Well, I think that that's a really important thing for people to think about if they're interested in maybe running for the board one day or something like you can be a good body piercer. And I think
Yeah.
we've seen board members in several different countries for different conferences and organizations where they're a really good piercer, but they don't really have the time management skill.
Yeah.
And I think when you see the people who are successful on a board or on some sort of a committee, it's all because they know how to manage that time. Like there are people that have children and businesses and all kinds of other obligations in their personal and professional lives, but they can make it work because they know how to manage that time. So I see that
Yeah.
as a really strong skill for someone that wants to be in one of those administrative roles.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, for example, um, like I said, I've been in the an hour in the APP Spain for 10 years. And that also gives me like the perspective how is to be running in a board directors and an association, you know. You have to think that we're three doing everything. So when you go to a bigger organization, all those tasks are divided by committees and stuff like that. So the amount of work It's still a lot, but you have already a system there. So
Yeah.
you just add your part to the system. So for example, for me, I have a few skills that I think it would be beneficial, like for the future of the APP, for example. And now that I've been traveling more and been connecting with other international associations, I think the view of like APP states and APP all over the world have to be reconnected or connected more, even if they're sister orgs, is some link there that is missing. So I think because I'm in Europe and I travel all the time and I have that kind of like communication with all of them, that's kind of like the link that might help like communication or social media or who do you invite to speak in different countries and stuff like that. So I think it's a lot of misinformation for the sister organizations nowadays to kind of build up their organization as strong as possible. Yeah.
Yeah, I think now that you have so many different organizations around the world, it's
Mhm.
almost foolish to see it as like there's the APP and
Yeah,
then there's everything else. Like I think we need to kind
yeah,
of see it as, well, this is one community and
exactly.
maybe this region has their needs or strengths or whatever, and
Exactly.
then let's share all those strengths together and it makes everybody stronger.
Yeah, yeah. And I think because most of the times the APP board members are Americans, and of course, Brian is living and Kale is living in Europe, but they still have that American point of view, you know. It's different when you're outside the States and you've been traveling and you know the difficulty, for example, to Brazil to get stuff there, or how much taxes they pay now to export from the UK when the brands are in the UK to Spain, for example. So all those kind of things is something that is problems of the community, not just that country, you know, because we have to be global, like you said. Is at the same time the more connected we are, the more stronger we will be, you know. So I think it's very important to get that global vision, not
Yeah.
just different countries.
Well, so I would say that the majority of APP members are probably in the US or at least
Yes.
North American based. And I don't really see that as a negative, but I would see it as a great positive to have more of an international representation on the board of the APP because like yes, Brian does live in Europe, Kale does live in Europe, but like, they have that American business mentality in a lot of
Mhm.
ways about access to materials, access to information. The
Yeah.
kind of income that American piercers make is wildly different than what piercers make in most of the rest of the world. Like just even
Yeah.
getting tips is
Yeah.
not really much of a thing just about anywhere else in the world. So I think it would be really good to be able to have someone share an experience that's not so heavily US based.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. It's like you your the idea is to bring something fresh and new, you know, not something that is being always in the same pattern, let's say like that. You're bringing something, a different perspective from a different part of the world, you know. And I think that's something that can make grow the APP in a way, you know. So that's the reason I've been nominated a couple of times, and sometimes I've been accepting, but I think I was too young also. And now this time I was like, you know what? I think I can help doing things for the APP right now because I have more experience in this kind of files, you know, like I've been running an organization that is successful. I've been helping other organizations to get to the point to be a sister organization of being successful. So I think they want to give back what the community gave me and just here, I have my time now for you guys, you know, like I want to help. I want to be more involved in everything, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm in a part of that my life right now that that's my goal, like help more globally, let's say like that.
That's what I like to hear from someone who's trying to do it because sometimes you get the motivation where it's almost revenge is not the right word, but sometimes
Yeah.
people want to, like, I want to get on the board so I can disrupt it, but that's not really what it's about. It's about
No.
being part of a system and trying to make that system better
Better,
through
exactly.
doing the work and like helping.
Yeah.
And so when you say that word, like you want to help, that's really the key element for me when I see somebody running for the board. Like they're willing to put in the time to work with
Yeah.
others and not really just try to disrupt it.
The thing is that going in and try to change the world, that's not going to happen in one day. The industry been for too many years, you know. We're going to celebrate the 50 years anniversary of Gauntlet like next year, you know. It's been a lot, and the APP has been for many years also there. So you cannot change it, but you can kind of like help to update it, you know, like give your tiny sand to make the beach, you know, they say like that. So I think it is, in my point of view right now, is like, yeah, help and just bring the things that I'm good at it to them. You know, like, hey, I like to do my reels, I like to talk to other presenters and create better presentations, better classes. I like to travel the world and help people like, hey, APP, you don't need to have an static. People has still has that kind of like misconception, you know.
Yeah.
So try to branch out as much as possible and make it more clear, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that sounds great. Like there are some things that I can see from knowing you for a long time, strengths that I think would be really beneficial to the board, like just the way that you instruct, like the way that you write your classes and prepare your classes. It's all very logical, but it's also like it's not intimidating. You make classes that are fun to take. You're really
Mhm.
good at keeping the attendees like awake, like
Yeah.
forcing people to stretch and exercise and get their blood flowing like that just makes such a huge impact on people, and I think that you could do that also on the board is you could bring
Yeah.
in a freshness and an energy, and
Yeah.
I'd be really excited to see what you can do with a board position.
Yeah. Of course, it's hard to think that I'm gonna win. You know, for me, it's like it's very like let's try it and see what happens, kind of in a way. But I'm ready to do it, you know.
Yeah.
When I did the reel and everyone started to repost it and all the feedback, and was like, whoa. So, like you said, I have that kind of fun energy that people likes, but at the same time, I'm very structured and worker. So I can, like you said, I can bring that two things mixed to the table and get a fresher movement in the work. And yeah, like you said, I like to research a lot for classes, and I try to keep everyone awake and yeah, just bring like that sparkle. I think sometimes when we are in our comfort zone, we love that spark. We lost that sparkle. So now I want that sparkle to come and share it with everyone.
Yeah, well, that's great. Like I'm really looking forward to it. So I mean, obviously
Mm,
you have my support.
thank
Like
you.
I'm looking forward to voting for you, but I also want to talk about some conference stuff because you're one of the instructors where you've been to so many different conferences. So
Yeah.
what are some of the ones that you've instructed at just in the last year or two? I know you just did Japan
Oof.
recently. How was that?
Oh, Japan was amazing.
Yeah,
Japan was amazing, and also here it comes to like my experience, let's say like that. Japan has been organization for 20 years,
yeah.
and they've been like a little bit lost or misinformation there, and they tried to be in the sisters organizations and they didn't make it or didn't happen, let's say like that. And suddenly with a friendly talk with one of the board members, they knew that I was traveling to Philippines. They say, "Hey, you're gonna be in the Philippines. Why you don't come and talk to the members about piercing?" I said, "But why we don't create an event?" So we
Mm.
created an event, a successful event in 3 months. So
Yeah, only
we
three
have
months. Wow,
only three
there were
months,
a
only
lot of
three
people
months.
there too.
Yes, and in 3 months, we made the JAPP sister organization. We hand invitations to all their members. So there were 35 Japanese members. We invited 20 different piercers from around Asia, and it was Korea, South Korea, Malaysia, Philippines, Vietnam, so many countries in Asia that I was like shocked. Like, and then I went to their Instagrams and looking them working with like very good brands and like very high standards. I was like, whoa, Asia is coming. Asian is coming, you know?
Yeah.
And then we had some international also attendees. And it was like a very nice week because we kind of matched it up. The Monday was the conference. Uh, I helped designing a little bit the layout of the instructors. So we wanted to have some techniques. We would like to have some anthropology. So that way we spark a little bit the interest for them to start to research in their own kind of like history. We had something about materials and more tips and tricks and stuff like that. Then it was one day, and it was in an art gallery. It was a representation of a scarification in an art gallery and a
Cool.
pulling. The third day was the sadistic circus. It's like a circus for performers all around the world. And the fourth day, it was the biggest tattoo convention in Japan.
Oh,
So it
wow.
was a whole week of body mods or piercing related stuff going on.
Cool.
So it was really, really good. But then after that, I came back to Europe 3 days and then I went to Portugal to teach.
Wow.
Portugal also is their second conference. I helped I helped them to become sister organization also, and I've been helping them with how to structure their organization and the inside. It was really good also. They had like also a lot of attendees. It's another place that I think is growing up a lot,
Hmm.
very, very big in the next couple of years. It reminds me a lot to Poland. I remember when I started to go to Poland like 10 years ago, I did like a conference there and it was like four people. Now Betty and Waseks and Naga and all the people from Poland has created this huge community there that
Yeah.
I'm amazed to see the progression, and also I've been also like helping them a little bit. And when you are inside a board member or an organization stuff, everyone will talk different opinions. You will get more bad opinions than good opinions than normally the ones. So I've been trying to cheer them up and like, hey, this is always like this. Even if someone is complaining, you will never make everyone happy. This is how it is, and you need to be good with it, and don't
Yeah.
don't give up all this effort and all the work that you have done just because people are talking. You just keep doing your thing and just building it up. And then I went to GAP also this year. With Andrea. I normally we went to the first one together, I think. That's the one
Yeah.
that,
Yeah. I
yeah,
was
that
at the
was the
first.
first
Yeah.
one.
Gap
Yeah.
Brazil. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first one. No, I lost the number there now. They're like
I think this year would have been year six.
six. Are you
I
sure?
think. I think, well, maybe six or seven, I think, because like I went to the
Yeah.
first one and then when I came back, I think that was year five. And
Okay.
was that last? I don't remember. It's hard to keep track of it all.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Gap also, I remember I helped a lot Andre. So if you know Andre was retired. Andre was retired from the industry, and he came with us to APP one year with Matias Tafel, Rata, and me. We were sharing room, and we sparked them up. It's crazy to see a person that was retired from the industry, how impact and how much has changed in that country.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. Like, and that's the thing. He's a business owner, piercer, dad, conference maker, and then now he's a president of another organization. So he has also that time management thing, because he's a very busy person. And
Yeah.
yeah, and now you see, like, I look back and it's like, whoa, he has changed a lot, and we were there helping him, to do it, So it's very, very, very amazed, Then I we did together Spain. Yeah, I organized Spain, and you came with Lola to. to
Yeah,
teach.
it was fantastic. That was a
Mhm.
really
Yeah,
I really enjoyed that conference because it felt so communal. Like
yeah,
having people, it wasn't exactly a small space, but it was shared in a way with like the vendor side and the
yeah.
classroom side, and everybody was kind of together. It was a really nice feel.
Yeah, yeah, like the structure that we have a wall and then we can remove the wall and then the kind of like the people in the vendor area can see the classes and all that. Yeah, I think that was one of the key things last year, like the because many vendors are piercers also, and they want to see classes and they just don't want to be stuck in the expert area sometimes. So that was one of the things that we implanted that year. This year, we're changing a little bit. We're making a time frame of only expo, and it opens the first day and it closes the first day, and that's it. And then they can go and see classes and come as a regular attendee.
Cool.
So it's like a new structure that we have for the conference. So it's changing a little bit. After traveling a lot to other different conference, I hear, you know, complaints or what can we make better and stuff like that. And one of the things is like the vendors sometimes they're there for too long,
Yeah.
and when there are classes, no one is in the expo, so they're there, and I try to find a solution to that. So I will try this like this year, like okay, let's have expo time from 2 to 7, open doors to everyone. Let's see if they manage to sell the same as in 3 days, and then get the feedback. So yeah, and
Yeah. Well,
then yeah,
all those different things you mentioned, the theme that ties it all together is communication, which I think
yeah,
is another like really important skill for a board member or an administrator to have. Like when you talk about all this growth in different countries, Poland and Japan and Brazil and everywhere else around the world, Portugal and Spain, it's all based on someone had to put in the work to try to pull that community together because all those piercers were there, but they weren't
yeah,
necessarily talking to each other and they weren't
yeah,
looking at it
exactly.
as like we're on one team and let's make the team stronger. So time management and communication, like all those things are really important skills that I think a board member needs to have because like you need to be able to talk to someone in a gentle way and say, I see you doing a lot of these things really well, but I think these other things could be stronger.
Yeah.
And I maybe have some experience that I've
We
seen
make
from a
that mistake.
travel or a conference. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
great to be able to bring that together for
yeah, yeah,
people.
yeah. For example, I see it also as a piercer. Sometimes we do one thing, and as soon as we see someone else working, it kind of, oh, why I didn't think about this.
Mm,
Or people like us that we've been piercing and doing stuff for so long. Back in the days, we have to learn ourselves and make the mistakes ourselves and learn from our mistakes.
yeah,
So when I go and teach, that's what I want to show. Like, hey, we did this already. It's like a gap here that people think that hasn't happened, but this happened already. It's just that we forgot about it. So bringing it back and don't lose that kind of like history connection there. Like, hey, don't do this. We did it already. It doesn't work.
yeah,
So, but like you said, like in a nice way to say it, not like this is my law, this is how you do it. No, I did this. This is my mistake. I show you my mistake. Do you think it's worth it? Yeah.
I remember you and I had loads of conversations like when I was at Pinpoint, and I remember trying to show off the way that I was doing the septum, and it came out so bad. And I did that in front of you, and then Christiana saw it, and I was just like, oh, I thought I was going to be so cool showing off a trick,
Uh,
and the trick
yeah,
totally didn't work.
good work. Yeah. No, but like I said, we're piercers. We have the ego, and our career is like very big. And then when we get old, that that goes away. And but I do freehand because I don't know how to use the tools. It's because of that. I see people putting clamps and stuff like that. I roll the tissue. I don't know how to make it perfect. That it doesn't make me more cool to do freaking. It's because I don't know how to use the tool. So it's more like that.
Yeah,
Sometimes we have that kind of image. Oh, this is how you should do it. This is perfect. And then it's like, yeah, it's because I don't know how to do it other way. So it's
yeah.
it's pretty
That's a
funny,
lot of
you
really
know.
cool innovation with body piercers. Like I've met
Yeah.
lots of piercers throughout the years who were amazing with something like freehand piercings. And it's that
Yeah,
same thing. It's just like, but that's what made sense in my head. It never made sense to do it this
exactly.
other way. So they figured out this way that works really good. And I love seeing people share that kind of stuff at conferences.
But you know what? I learned more teaching than actually with all these years of career. Because when you're teaching, for example, you get those questions and then your brain starts to, and then I start, oh, let's find the logic of this, why this person is asking this, and how to kind of divide it and give it the right information, you know? So normally when I'm starting to do research for the classes, that it takes me a while. For a class of 45 minutes, it takes me like 6 months in research and like talking to different piercers. And then when we start to talk in the questions, it's like, huh, why I didn't think about this? Why I do it like that? Why this person is doing it like that? So normally I like to teach because I'm learning more, I think. So it's like that kind of like wanting to learn all the time.
Well, I like the way that you prepare and research for classes. I think it's easy to write a class with a very narrow scope to say, like, I'm going to talk about how I pierce this one
Yeah,
thing, and I'm just going to show you lots of examples of the way that I do it. But I like a lot of your classes involve this is how people from a bunch of different countries do it. And I've
do it
asked 50
exactly.
different piercers or 100 different piercers
Yeah,
to give some input to it. And I want to
yeah,
kind of show you the blend of all that information. So I really like the way that you put your
yeah,
classes together because it's not written just for one conference, like one
yeah.
country. It's written
No,
for piercers and like all
exactly.
different types of piercers to learn from it.
So I think that's one of the things I want to bring into the board directors. You know, it's like that. It's not only one way to do it. There are different realities. There are different ways to do it. You know, it's not me doing or saying I do this like this. No, different people are doing it different ways. Why we don't learn from these different other parts, you know? So for me, it's always been like that. I also think it's a big responsibility to be in front of a classroom and saying something, you know, because that person there is going to think that whatever you said is a law, you know, it's like how they need to do it. So for me, when I changed a lot during the years, like the structure of the classes back in the days probably was like me, I do this like this, you need to do it like that. But then when I started to travel more, I opened my spectrum and I say, hey, I have another people here that's been piercing for 30 years and do it with clamps or do it with another way. And why he's not doing it good. He hasn't killed anyone doing it like that. I haven't killed anyone doing it like that. So you know, it's kind of like it's not a only like it's not a right answer for everything. You know, it's not like a one thing fix all. Also, you know, it's like we are humans. We're different. We're having different approaches, different ways to do it, and none is good or bad. It's just the way you do it. If you do it safely and you get a good result and you don't harm anyone, why not? You need to
Yeah.
show it, you know, you need to
Yeah.
show it like that. And I like to do like the tips and tricks all over the world because it's tips from people from South America, people from the States, and it's like bringing all these kind of different tips. Then when I go to another country, they're like, oh my God, how I didn't think about that, you know, and then when you see that and like piercers that have been piercing for maybe 20 years, and then suddenly, oh my God, you know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's super cool. It's super cool, you know, like the mix
Sometimes
of bringing everyone.
when people have been piercing for a long time or going to conferences for a long time, I don't think that you necessarily expect to go into a class and get 90 minutes of all completely brand new ideas. I
No.
think the best thing about going to a conference or a class is when you get that one thing where you're like, I never thought of that, or like that
Yes.
different perspective. Like, that's why I love going to all these different
No.
classes and conferences because you always learn those one or
Yeah.
two little tips and tricks that you never thought of, and it can change your career.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's crazy. For example, I think it was. Paul, yeah, Paul came this in Japan because it was a small conference, so he couldn't escape to the room, let's say like that. So he stayed in the classes and all that. And suddenly he came to me, Sal, I learned something today. I didn't know I would learn something. So it
Yeah,
was so cool. Like, yeah, he's being like a master piercer from Gauntlet, blah blah blah, telling me that he learned something in one of my speeches. So it was pretty cool.
that's
But
great.
like you said, even if we've been doing it for so long, tiny details sometimes like, oh my god, I've been piercing for 20 years and I don't know this. So it's
Yeah.
super cool. That's fascinating about piercing, I will say. Or scarification. I guess you see someone scarring in a different techniques and it's like, whoa, you know
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
like BMX, like I'll go to BMX every year that I
yeah.
possibly can for as long as I possibly can.
Yeah,
And that's one of the only places where I talk to people about scarification really.
yeah,
And I love to just get that one little thing, from Yeston or from Kevin or you Marita or whatever, and just like
yeah,
seeing the work and like I've been doing this for 20 years and I never thought to do that little tweak, and
yeah.
now it's going to change the way I think about it.
Yeah, and the thing is that now we're getting old, and we see this kind of people that are used to be in the classroom and now teaching and giving their own like perspective, and you can see those tiny pieces from yourself there, and it's like, wow, this is crazy. That, like you said, that tiny tip is going to change someone else's career,
Yeah.
and we did that tip to change someone else's career. So like responsibility that we have there is huge when you think about it. It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Well, not
But
to
yeah,
make it all about the board, but that's another thing that I think is so important is like you're the steward, you're the manager of like a legacy. Like the APP means so much to piercers, whether they think about it in explicit terms or not. Like
mm,
the amount of work that's been put in over decades by all of the past and present board members and instructors and volunteers and everything. Like the next group of board members will be in charge of that legacy, but also
yeah,
where the legacy takes everybody in the future. So I think
yeah,
it's really important to have someone that has experience and the perspective of like this is important stuff and you want to make
yeah.
sure that everything keeps moving forward. You don't want to freeze everything in its
No, no,
tracks
no.
trying to
So,
reinvent the
so,
wheel.
so something that like I said, I got nominated a couple of times. I have accepted sometimes. I declined sometimes. And I think that's kind of like the important thing. Sometimes some people say yes just to, oh, I got nominated, but they don't have like a plan on a structure or they don't have anything to give.
Yeah.
It's just, oh, I got nominated. They got excited. Maybe it's like a person that is very new to the industry. And then there are people that has been a lot of years there that, like you said, even they are good at piercers, but they don't have anything to or work as a team. That's something very important also. So for me, this year was like that. Like I've been working so many different teams and different conference, and I feel that I'm good with working with other people, and I think I can give a lot of things to the board directions and also keep that legacy, and also to don't break the link because I think uh, by generations, is being the same link right now. So it's like a new link, but not too far apart from newer piercers or more old school piercers. So I think I'm in a phase of my life that if I accept it is because I think I can keep the communication, keep the moving forward of the APP, and trying to be as much kind of like focus and like all the work that people has done, it cannot go to trash. I have to, it's still there. We can make it maybe better. We can make it work a little bit more smooth, and that's the idea. Like
Yeah.
don't break the good work the other people has done, and just be there and work. It's like, no, I have this in my CV. I was elected or whatever. It's like the idea is go there and work, put the work on it. It's like you need to be committed of what you're gonna do. It's like, no, yeah, like I said, many people sometimes they think that that's a good achievement, but that's a work, and it's a no pay work, and most of the people will talk bad about you because they don't like how you do things, but you need to be ready. And I think this years has toughened me up. And I'm ready to listen and to learn and to share and to help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's great, and that's why I'm gonna vote for you. So
Mm.
this is probably a good place to start to wind it down. Like I just want people to think about voting. Like, I'm not going to tell everybody out there that they have to vote the way that I'm voting or
Yeah.
whatever, but I just want to remind APP members that, like, you need to vote. You need to pick someone that you think will represent you as a piercer,
Yeah.
and just make sure you vote this cycle, because you don't want to get stuck in a point where you're just being represented by someone that you don't feel any sort of connection to. So get
Yeah.
involved and vote.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's important, you know. I think since I became APP member like 10 years ago, so a little bit over, I've been trying to know who is going to be running and see if I agree with their ideas and know them a little bit better, you know, because like you said, it's a lot of work put there and it's very easy. Everything falls apart if you put someone there that it's not there for the work, it's just there for the fame or whatever you want to call it, you know. And it's very important that whatever or whoever is going to be elected has a time and a plan, you know, like, hey, how are you going to help? What are you bringing to the board? So it's very important to, yeah, don't just because he's a good person, like you said, he have to be a good organizer or good with working with groups and stuff like that. So,
Mm,
it's important. It's very important. I think so.
yeah. Well, I appreciate you finding time to fit a podcast into your day. Is there like a certain social media or website or anything that you would want people to go to if they wanted to keep track of your work a little bit more?
Well, I think if everything moves forward, I think I will be more proactive in my Instagram with I have like also like a tiny channel inside the Instagram where I talk to I think 700 piercers and I think there's where I do my researches sometimes for classes. So I think if people wants to follow my Instagram, Sala and be up like on the loop. I also post like travels from the conference there, and I think that's kind of like my main platform nowadays, like to communicate and that. So I think Instagram is my strength, I will say.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I will let you go, and you can go work on 10 other things today.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate your vote and nominate me and thinking that I'm good for the job. It means a lot to me, actually. We've been colleagues, friends, family for so long, and you inspire me, and I hope I make you proud.
Yeah, yeah. I'm very proud to know you, and I'm very proud to be counted among your friends.
Yeah. Thank
All
you.
right. All right. You
Love you.
have a good day, and I'll talk
You
to you soon.
too. Bye.
Bye. For more information about the show, visit piercingwizardpodcast.com or like Piercing Wizard Podcast on Facebook. For more info about your host, visit precisionbodyarts.com or search Ryan PBA on Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr. If you enjoy the show, you can subscribe on iTunes, Apple Podcast, and Google Play. Music by Benny B. Blanco. Show copyright 2017, Precision Body Arts LLC, all rights reserved.